11 reasons why life in New Zealand is better than Australia. Population. The population of New Zealand is 5 million. The population of Australia is 26 million. The population of Sydney alone is the same population as the whole of New Zealand. New Zealand's capital city only has a population of 200,000. It's a beautiful city with a beautiful harbour surrounded by nature. Auckland, its biggest city, has 1.6 million. It's where I choose to live myself. It has beautiful beaches, nature, as well as key economic areas and downtown. But it's spread widely. So that 1.6 million doesn't feel too big at all, but you can still work in a city and have the opportunities it brings. Christchurch, often another hub. A lot of companies have offices in Auckland and Christchurch on both islands, and Christchurch has only 380,000. The Garden City comes with nature and a beautiful diversity on New Zealand's South Island. Weather. Aotearoa, Maori for New Zealand. Land of the long white cloud. It rains here. It causes a temperate climate, which is more doable than in Australia. In Australia, 3 months of the year, you can't really go outside. Or at the top of Australia, it's so tropical, it's too humid to go outside for 3 months of the year. I love New Zealand for its seasons. You have 4 clear seasons. It is damp and people do moan about it, but it's beautiful because of that. It's very green with lovely blue skies. Today we have sunshine and showers as we're in autumn, but it's still fairly warm and we've got beautiful sunshine in between those showers, which are needed to keep the place beautiful and green. The national animal. The national animal in Australia is the kangaroo. The kangaroo is seen as a pest. It can trample farms, it can eat crops, it is a danger on the roads. There is twice as many kangaroo as there are people. Here in New Zealand we have the beautiful little kiwi, who is endangered, only comes out at night time and you will very rarely see in the wild. It is super cute. We went to a kiwi house in Whangarei and you can see that video here. And we can highly recommend seeing the cute little kiwi, even if it is only in a sanctuary, which is New Zealand's national animal. Hi, I'm Emily and I run the Organised Mum Lifestyle YouTube channel. And I'm qualified to comment on what it's like to live in New Zealand as I live here in Auckland. I travel regularly with my family, my 2 toddlers and my husband, as well as working full-time in Auckland. Travelling regularly around the country for work, I post about what it's like to live in New Zealand, the adventures that we go on my YouTube channel every Friday. Rugby is a religion in New Zealand. New Zealand have the All Blacks and the Australians have the Wallabies. In 1903, they started the Bledisloe Cup and New Zealand and Australia compete every single year with each other, multiple games in both countries. The All Blacks have won 124 games against the Wallabies versus the Wallabies beating them 45 times. The Kiwis will not hear it that the Wallabies are better than the All Blacks, even during some of the bad years. Rugby is a contention between the Aussies and the Kiwis. It's worth watching a game just to understand how serious the Kiwis take rugby. Wildlife. Australia has 15,000 different types of spider and a lot of these are poisonous. New Zealand has 1 type of poisonous spider. I did a video about this, you can watch it here, and it talks about the dangerous animals of New Zealand compared to Australia. And thanks Australia, some of those do now live here, but none of them are snakes. New Zealand does not have any snakes at all. In fact, they are not allowed in the country, you have to have a licence and you cannot keep them as pets. Also, we have a lot less shark sightings than in Australia. I love this one, Pavlova. Pavlova was invented for a Russian ballerina's tour in 1926 and the country continued to contend who invented it. It is said the Australians invented it, it is said the Kiwis invented it, but the only fact we know is that a hotel in Wellington published the recipe first. So I would say the Kiwis invented it. New Zealand has a strong movie scene. Have you heard of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit? Which were filmed exclusively in New Zealand. You can see some of these landscapes and these scenes, and you can also visit Hobbiton. New Zealand is Middle Earth. But not only that, the biggest grossing movie of all time, Avatar, was filmed here in New Zealand. Also, Narnia was filmed at Cathedral Cove. Down in Christchurch, Disney's Mulan, and over on the west coast of the South Island, the Piano. New Zealand is known for its movie scene. Whereas Australia, you can see some very specific Australian films like Crocodile Dundee, and if you like it, Mad Max, doesn't have quite so much of a movie scene. Extreme sports. Home of the bungee jump. Commercialised by AJ Hackett, Queenstown is the home of extreme sports. It's not something that I post about regularly with small toddlers, but it's something I have done. I did blackwater rafting before children, and New Zealand is a great place to do a wide variety of extreme sports. Human rights. New Zealand was the first country to give women the vote in 1893, compared to Australia, who didn't give women the vote until 1902. Also, New Zealand allowed same-sex marriages in 2013, whereas Australia wasn't until 4 years later in 2017. And my last two are my favourite. Landscapes. You can drive in New Zealand in just a few hours. You can change from mountains to volcanoes, this is Tongariro Crossing, to beautiful sea views, to beaches, to farming plains, beautiful landscapes, all within a short amount of time. Australia, it's a lot of red desert for many hours. The variety is there, but it's very widely spread. And we love it for the final reason, road trips. You can take a road trip and they're achievable. Driving between cities can take a few hours, the biggest gap between Auckland and Wellington, but there's so much to do on the way. You've got fantastic volcanoes, you've got Alps, you've got snow, you've got plains, you've got beaches, you name it. I post about this in our adventures, often only going 3 or 4 hours from Auckland to go to a wide variety of different places. You can check it out in our playlist, Our Adventures Around New Zealand. Each year we take our caravan down to the South Island, driving over the space of a few weeks, but only doing 2 or 3 hours at a time, stopping at some beautiful places to see the wide variety that New Zealand has to offer. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. I post every Friday about the adventures that we go on around New Zealand with our 2 toddlers. I've got lots of updates about what it's like to live in New Zealand. If you want to see content about New Zealand, our adventures around New Zealand, and how I get organised to go on those trips, hit subscribe. I post every Friday. I'll see you in my next video.